see it on camera. There is a line where I wash my hands up to. One use. One use.
So, welcome to the Northernist Podcast. We're two friends in fibre who knit, crochet, craft, spin. Sometimes we pretend we sew and talk everything in between. My name is Jocelyn and my co-host is
Diana.
It's a Easter Sunday, so background noise brought to you by neighbors playing music, which you may or may not hear. I'm not picking it up, so it could be okay. And the sibling doing her laundry.
The lovely firmware update on the headphones, I think, updated the noise filtering, so it's like it's real
there.
good.
It's there. Yeah. Sometimes she's got balanced loads, and sometimes she doesn't. We're closing in on their move date, guys. My sister and my brother-in-law have found a house. They closed on the sale. It is theirs at the 16th of this month. So there is a lot of cleaning, packing, prepping going on right now. They're moving house. There's a lot going on.
Oh yeah.
So I am endeavoring to just stay out of their way because I know it's a very stressful period of time because moving is not fun.
No. Nope. Having done that once now. Twice now.
Twice.
I'm not counting the first time. I'm not counting moving out of my parents' house because we did that so slowly over like a month and a half. It doesn't count.
You're such a noob.
Oh yeah.
All right. Technically, we're a knitting podcast. You're supposed to be talk knitting stuff, hey?
Yeah. Things we're going to cover this week.
Yikes.
What's in our cup, cool threads, woolly workings, wool gathering, and literature.
Does not take me long, guys. It's late on a Sunday afternoon. My brain's out to lunch. All right. I suppose we should start with what's in our cup.
Indeed.
In the traditional Christmas mug, that's all everybody ever sees me drink out of, I've got some turmeric ginger tea.
Nice. I am on my second cup of Yorkshire tea.
Mostly because it's a Sunday afternoon and I like drinking ginger tea in the afternoon.
Had 2 cups of tea with milk and sugar. I'm like, it's roughly equivalent to a cup of coffee. 2 mugs of tea with a little bit of sugar.
That's a lot of, okay, that's fair. In my case, I've had my big meal for the day, which is breakfast, so now I'm just sort of puttering into small meals.
Ooh, guitar solo. We're planning a big roast beef feast for dinner, so after this I'll have to go process some potatoes for mashing and stuff.
I had my big meal at breakfast because I prefer my big meal at breakfast.
I was like, I should make biscuits to go with the roast beef. No, we're making Yorkshire pudding to go with the roast beef. Never mind. I'm doing that.
If you're making Yorkshire pudding, you do not need biscuits.
No, we don't.
No. One or the other is sufficient. Both is overkill.
Now, I've just knit across this entire row. Did I actually remember to do the increases at the beginning? I don't know.
I couldn't tell you. What I can tell you is if we've managed to talk about our beverages, we should probably blow through cool threads pretty quickly since I think it's just me this week.
No, I am currently wearing a cool thread.
Are you? Excellent.
I have my Ome tee on. It is not washed. It is not blocked. The ends are not even woven in.
True story.
But I'm wearing it anyway because it works for video calls. The top looks just fine.
Your Ome tee on the top, unless I see the yellow band, pretty much looks like a bunch of your other t-shirt sweater combos.
It does, yes. But I promise, see, there's lace and yellow. It's the Ome tee.
Okay. I believe you. I mean, you didn't have to show me. I believed you anyway. I just... when you only see the top third, and that's the purple part, that doesn't tell me much.
I totally only added 1 increase at the beginning of this row, and there was supposed to be 2.
Budget.
Okay.
It's the designer saying, fudge it, next row. It'll be fine.
Yeah.
I'm wearing my Mallow cardigan, which is the cardigan with the giant lace pattern in the back and the drop shoulders that I made ages ago. It was like one of the first sweaters I ever made.
I think so, yeah.
Done in pieces. It's pilled to absolutely no nonsense. This is out of a Barocco vintage DK, and I loves it. I wear it a lot. It's also a pretty shade of blue.
It looks very comfy. I still kind of want to make one of those.
I want to make the mallow, which is the pullover version.
The
My
marsh.
marsh, yes, the marsh is the pullover version. I'm wearing the mallow. Um, and I may have been talking to an indie dyer we both know about getting a quantity's worth to make that out of.
Mm.
Cause I can. So that's a thing that's happening, maybe at some point. It's also not on my Make 9, so gotta keep that in mind, guys.
Oh man, I've totally
Uh,
forgotten anything that was on my Make 9.
that's why we write it down.
I found my bingo sheet the other day and then I put it somewhere safe. I'll find it again in another few months.
Cool. Cool. So long as you know where it is in December when I go, hey, it's time to do that check
Yeah,
in for the end of the year.
it's on my desk somewhere, I think, or I might have stuck it in a drawer.
True story. It's about July before I even start crossing off boxes. Like in July, I'll look at mine and mine sits right right there.
Okay, so as long as I'm on it by like July.
I'll start checking off boxes in July and looking at it and going, oh hey, that's what maybe I should make some of those later in the year. But the first half of the year, I don't even I pretend it's not even there. I just make whatever I want, and then I take a look because it's always the second half of the year that I'm like, what do I want to make? That helps me structure it a little bit. So I know there's socks on there. I know there's sweaters on there. I know there's blankets on there. Like I know there's stuff on there. So I'm fine. I'm good to go. All right. I suppose that brings us into cool threads, hey? Cool threads. No.
We just did that one.
It's late on a Sunday afternoon. Jocelyn's brain's checked out for the day. What we're working on.
Yeah. You've got you've got 4 things to my 2 things, so I think you get to go first.
Are you about to reverse that?
I
Blow
I was going
everyone's
for
mind?
the 2-to-1 ratio, but
Okay. Okay.
yeah, it didn't come out quite that way.
Okay. Okay. Whatever you need to do, my dear. I'm not going to tell you no. Um, it's always weird when I don't go first. Fade
Hmm.
row, but it doesn't matter. We're in the middle of a sock challenge. This weekend is the Fiber Friends podcast 3-day Easter weekend sock challenge. And the point was to challenge yourself on sock making. If for you that was a pair of socks in 3 days, do it up. For you, if it was trying a new heel, do it up. Just do something that is a challenge to you when it comes to sock knitting. My initial goal had been 1 sock in 3 days, because I had every plans to do a vanilla sock. It's a good challenge. 3 days, vanilla sock, ladies 10 foot, right? That's a fair number of stitches. Like, that's a good challenge. Except what I really, really, really wanted to work on is a pattern. So I
Of course.
changed my goal Friday morning to half a sock in 3 days because I was going to work in a pattern. And I've never done a pattern sock. I have always done vanilla socks. So I'm not doing too bad on a Sunday. I'm not going to make it to my half a sock, but that was still a bit of a stretch goal anyway. But I am working on a cranberry sauce sock.
Very nice.
So the cranberry sauce socks are from Lames and Latas, Lattes and Lamas. English is not my friend today. I flipped this sock pattern around. So it's a cuff down and knee high sock, and I'm making it toe up in regular length.
Sure. The pattern, is it like a spiral?
Yeah, it's got a rotating kind of lace spiral that goes through it. So I
Video
decided,
compression. The video compression on my end's having a little trouble with the speckles and the texture.
oopsies. So there's a rotating 8-row repeat lace pattern. It's a paid for pattern, so that's not how far we're gonna get on that one. But because I'm working up the foot of the sock, you can see on the back the speckling from the February Sock Club yarn from Fireweed Fiber Co. And my pretty toe, as I put it on my hand, it's like a mitten,
In fact.
in fact. And then on the front or top of my foot, I have my lace patterning going on. So I will maybe make it to the heel before I go to bed tonight. Maybe not. Not worried about it. We'll get as far as I get, and that's a challenge in itself because this is still for me a lot of progress on a sock in 3 days. I'm over halfway up my foot because the foot for me is funny body measurements. From your heel to your toe is about the length of your hand.
I'm inclined to say nah, but maybe?
Go ahead, stick your hand on the bottom of your foot. I can edit it out if it's awkward looking or you fall out of your chair.
About the length of the foot, not including the heel, right?
About the length of the foot.
Huh.
It's not exact, but pretty darn close.
It's not
So,
bad.
yeah, so I tend to go from where my toe was, where I'm done my toe, I line that up with my heel, or my palm, I should say, and I always measure up to my fingertips. And I know once I get to my fingertips, I can put it on my foot and see if I'm long enough. And I'm always pretty darn close. So I'm about 2/3 of the way done, a little over halfway done. My foot. God's body measurements. There's a bunch of other little, really, really weird ones that sort of work out strangely for you, body proportion wise. It's just how the human body works. We are proportionate to ourselves. We're just not proportionate to anybody else because bodies are weird.
Bodies are
That's how
so
that
weird.
works. All right. I'm putting off the we'll talk sweaters next. I did a swatch today because I wanted to cast on a new sweater because of course I did. I'm bored working on the stuff I've got. I want something new. This is how life works for Jocelyn people. So I'm like, I want to do it. I've got a bunch of sweater quantities and worsted weight yarn. I'll toss on a swatch at a 6mm. I'll do a tiny swatch. Tiny swatch. And I got this, like I still got to wash and block this swatch, but I usually measure before I wash and block and after I wash and block, so I get how much like growth you're gonna get over the pattern.
Mm-hmm.
So pre-blocked, my tiny swatch of pink going on here is 16 stitches for 4 inches. And you're thinking, that's a great stitch measurement. You got a nice crumple going on, you got some drape going. Like we're good, right? Like we curl up nice. Like that's gonna
Mm-hmm.
sit and flow in curves, right? It'll be really good. The only problem is this is worsted weight yarn on a 6mm needle. So most people get 18 inches per stitch on a 5mm needle for worsted weight yarn. That's not bad. I think that's really good. I'm gonna have to try a 5mm needle. I'm worried it's going to be too dense. Like I'll get the right stitch count, but the fabric I get will be too stiff.
Hmm.
So I'm gonna have to try and see how it goes because I would like to make the big sister cardigan. I don't remember the author's name. I posted it and I've already gone and forgotten it.
Well, I
I
cannot help you.
that's you'll link it. That's the
I will
important
link
part.
show notes. Yes.
So I will definitely do a second swatch tonight in the 5mm and see if I can get down to that 18 stitches per inch because 16 is just it's too far off gauge. But what I want to do is take that my sister cardigan and I want to. This is Briggs and Little Heritage, guys. I love Briggs and Little. These have been sitting in my stash for a while, as you can tell. This is a dark gray and a pink. It is in fact a dark gray and a dusty rose or a country rose in their heritage line, which is their worsted line. I'll hold it like this. And I think this would make a really pretty striped cardigan.
I really like those colors together.
Dark gray, some country pink. It'll look really good together. I like the patterning for the big sister. I haven't bought the pattern yet because I got to see if I get a gauge that I like with it. And I don't have quite as much of this gray as I might be super comfortable with. So the gray might end up being like the contrast color band around on the body of the sweater might be end up being pink. I don't know. We'll have to see because first gauge swatch, then yardage check, right?
Yep.
One step at a time. So I'm hoping to do that because I need something that's a little less pattern intense than what I'm currently been working on. Been working on a lot of really intense stuff. I don't even have a sock to fall back on right now. Criminies. All right, that's 2 for me. You're up.
All right. I'm not done the row on that, so I will talk about my sock first because the sock challenge sounded like fun, and I decided to just see how far I could get into a pair of socks over the course of a long weekend. And then I also decided, nah, let's do a pattern. So I think if I was doing a vanilla sock, I could do one full sock in 3 days,
Yep.
being very focused about it.
Yeah, that's what I was thinking. I was like, it's impossible. Like I've done a sock in less than a week, so it'd just be condensed over 3 days. Like that's not an unachievable goal or like sort of in crazy insane goal.
Hmm. So uh, I apparently can't do some basic math, so I had to reknit the heel on this thing like 4 times.
Now, it's not that you can't do math. It's that you really shouldn't be mathing at night on a new pattern, having to work on it on a heel flap and gusset, which you don't generally do while drinking whiskey.
Yeah.
Yeah.
These I did it to myself. These were all factors in my having to knit the heel 4 times.
So long as we understand why you had to knit the heel 4 times.
Yeah, no, I did it to myself. It's fine. I understand. It's cool.
Good,
It's cool.
good. It's cool.
So, could actually show the sock, I suppose. Um, I also am using the February yarn from Fireweed Fiber Co. In case
Yes.
people are going, hey, isn't that the same sock?
In
Kind of.
fact, it's pretty close. What pattern did you end up going with?
So about 2.5 years ago, I bought a sock pattern collection from Sunflower Knits, who's a Winnipeg designer. And then I proceeded to knit none of them. So I picked one that was reasonably basic looking, and I did that. So these are the Jack socks from a
Okay.
pattern collection that she released in like 2018.
Cool, cool.
Yeah.
I remember when you bought that pattern collection, you were so gonna knit those. You're gonna knit a whole bunch of socks out of them.
So I am finally years later.
All right, all right.
So it's got your basic sort of wedge toe, and then the top of the foot is done all pearl, so that the sort of cable on the side sticks out. It's not there's actually no cabling whatsoever in this. It just is like mock cables,
Okay.
which stand out. It doesn't look very good when it's not on a foot. When it's on a foot, it stretches out really nicely, and it looks like this delicate little cabley thing. It doesn't look so good not on a foot, I have to say.
Hey, my lace pattern will look like something when it's on a block or on a foot. Right now, it doesn't look like much.
Fair. And then, of course, there's my toe up heel flap and gusset. I have not done a heel flap and gusset in years, and I've certainly never done one toe up. And the pattern is specifically written for a 72 stitch sock, but I make 64 stitch socks because that's what fits my foot. So I had to do. It felt like a whole bunch of math. It was actually only a little bit of math to get the stitch counts for how to do the heel turn, but I kept doing it wrong, so it was a little bit of math a lot of times. And it didn't help that I kept misreading 51 stitches as 54 stitches, and so my
Ooh.
calculations were always just a little bit off
Off. Yep. Yep.
because I'd put in a 54 instead of a 51, and that was like most of my problems.
Oops.
So I now thoroughly understand the construction
Mhm.
of a toe up heel flap and gusset style heel.
Excellent. Excellent.
I
Always
have
use the
learned.
opportunity.
I have learned, yes. And yeah, there's stitch markers that are absolutely not necessary. That was just me trying to do math and not having to count things over and over again. Anyway, so now the little cable detail is going to continue up the leg, and the whole leg is going to be pearls all the way around, which is slower than knitting. So, that's great. But they're very cute, pretty little socks. And I actually made them the proper size this time. I always end up making my socks just like, because I'm too excited to get to the heel. So I always make them like maybe 3, 4 rows too short.
Okay.
So just like a tiny bit, because I'm just too excited. But these ones are properly sized, and I'm really excited. and I've been making notes. I've actually written things down about how I figured out the math for the heel and like where I started my heel on the cable-y pattern, so I can make the other sock identical, just mirrored. And yeah, watch me take like another 2 months to knit the matching sock.
I don't think it's so much of the progress over the 3 days that we need to be credited for. It's how long it takes us to finish these sock projects that we've now started on this 3-day sock challenge. That'll
Yeah.
that'll be the thing to watch out for, people.
Yeah, so watch that go into a pile and not get touched again for far too long.
Do 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 do.
La 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 la.
I have projects I could be working on. I should not be swatching for a new one. Swatching for a new one. Can't stand it. I want to work on something that isn't already on my needles.
Meh. I mean, it's not like we have actual real deadlines or that we're knitting for any particular purpose other than our own enjoyment. So, like,
This is
knit whatever you
all
want.
for me. All
And
for me.
content for the podcast. The more new
That
things
too.
you cast on, the more interesting it is for people to watch.
Because I pick things up and put them down all the time. Yeah. My knitting projects are labors of love. Labors of love, people. So, all right. My turn again, is it?
Mm-hmm.
Okay. We'll talk about the disappointing things so that we can end on a high note.
Okay.
Always good to end on a high note. I finished the body of my half moon tee. This was exciting. I took a photo. Was not impressed with my ribbing by any stretch of any imagination. I know I could have done better, but we're casting on my sleeves. We're moving on. Do this, not a problem. Doing great. I can even show you the progress. I was adding a bit of extra length to the sleeves because I wanted it to hit like my elbow on me, and I am, for better or worse, of a longer limb length than the designer. So knowing that, I absolutely cast it on. It was great, no problem, right? And you're thinking, uh-oh.
Mm-hmm.
I started my color work. It's gonna be really awkward to show you guys because started my color work. Looks great, right?
Mm-hmm.
Got this beautiful, I'd say about 2 inches of, about an inch, inch and a half of extra sleeve length in the main color. And then I move into this color work. The only problem is I'm holding on to the part where I've dropped 2 stitches. Two stitches in the dark blue, in the Bennett colorway from the Knit Picks, not in the Winterberries white, not in the Zen Yarn Garden multicolored, not in any of the 3 colors where if I dropped a stitch or two, I could just pick them up. Has to be in the dark blue that I can't see on a 4mm size needle in fingering. So I'm going to put this down now because I don't want to mess with it any more than it is. So I'm going to attempt to pick up, guys, this is 2 stitches we're talking about. Everyone's just like, just pick up the 2 stitches. It's not as easy as it sounds. So I'm going to, first thing in my morning, which I literally mean within the first 2 hours of getting up, will be my best time because my best focus is just after I've woken up, mostly because my eyes are the most rested up, obviously. I'm going to have to set up my small tripod and my camera, which is my phone. I haven't pulled the tripod out already. Sitting here on the side, ready to go. My small tripod with the extra thingy to attach my phone to turn on my magnifying app, to turn it up to 6x magnification. And if I'm really lucky, then I do this within 2 hours of getting out of bed tomorrow morning, I might be able to pick up 2 stitches. Stress the might.
Good luck.
So that sweater sitting in a corner so we can think about what it's done.
Yeah, that has thoroughly earned a timeout.
Now, don't get me wrong. I'm getting a lot better mileage on the sleeve, like on the yarn on my sleeves in my main color than I thought I was going to. So if I have enough left over to make it worthwhile, it'll take several days, possibly a week or two, but I'll go in and I will pick up the stitches before, like a row or two before the ribbing, and I will pull out my bind off and back it up to that point, and then I'll knit till I have to do my ribbing again and my bind off. So
Okay.
I could
He's
potentially.
killing me.
Who's killing you?
My tea is trying to kill me.
It's not
Sorry.
good. So I could potentially end up re-knitting the body longer because I love it, and it ends exactly where it's supposed to be. But when I put it on, I was like, ah, but I could have made it like up longer, and then it'd be
Mm-hmm.
more like a floaty tunic.
Mm,
And
mm-hmm.
I'm
Mm-hmm.
like, but only if I have enough yarn when I'm done the sleeves, that it makes sense for me to pull back and do some more body work. So, and even then, it'll be picking up all the stitches and then begging someone I know with better vision to make sure I've picked up all the stitches in the same flipping row.
That's just challenging to do anyway.
Yeah. And if not, clippy stitch marker, clippy stitch marker, that's English.
I think it is. I think it is.
I mean, I'm going to call it English. Put those little clover closable stitch markers into the stitches I've missed so that I can rip back and the stitch itself will be caught. And then my first time around, I can just pick it up one at a time. So do that. So in theory, I can do that and mostly do it on my own. There's 400 plus stitches on that body. So like that alone could take me a couple of weeks just to put it on a needle so I can rip back.
Oof.
Yep, I'll be wearing that in the summer of 2022, people.
Okay.
Yikes. On the bright side, I can take as long as I want because I have not made the podcast first deadline. Who cares?
Wait. I need to
Do you need
take
to
a second.
gloat?
No, I
For a
just need
moment?
to like take a second to understand this reversal of the universe, where I have finished our podcast anniversary on time and you have not.
I don't always finish cows. I start and fail cows all the time.
I know, but it's the fact that I actually finished.
Yeah, it's a big deal.
That never happens.
The problem is now you finished an M cow and you finished a cow, so nobody's going to buy this. You can never finish cows excuse you keep giving us because you've just
Oh, it was
proven
never an
yourself
excuse.
wrong.
It was just, this is my thing. This is what I do. I just don't finish things on time.
Now you do. You've proven
Apparently, I do now. This is the new me.
It's the new. I believe in the you that believes in you.
Yeah.
Anime reference for nobody out there to get. But that's okay. I understood what I was talking about. That's all that matters, right? Gravities. All right. I've got one more thing. You've got one more thing?
And yep.
Your turn.
Okay. I am still working on the King's Flame shawl. I believe you have. Have you released that pattern now?
It is officially released.
Okay. So I'm still working on the test knit.
Cool.
It's
cool.
coming.
Hey, I knew it when you said hey, and I said, yeah, no, some problem. I did not expect you to be done before I published it.
Okay. I'm glad we understand each other.
Nope. Well, I know you. I'm not worried about it.
So, it's getting there. It's really hard to show off properly when it's a crescent shawl on needles and it's supposed to curve away that it doesn't.
It's awkward till you get it off the needles.
Yep. But I have my whole lace section now, or my whole first lace section, so you can see the black against the multicolored fall colors finally.
Yeah. Looks good.
I suppose that's upside down,
It
kind
is
of.
technically upside down for.
There's for the progress.
Yeah. Oh, yeah. That black pops just fine.
Yeah, so I'm super pumped. I am in the giant 9 repeats of the buttons.
Technically, you're making the smaller version of the shawl. You could make one where there's an even larger knot section afterwards.
Nope. I do enjoy the knots, but my goodness, this is a lot of the. Nope, they're buttons. They're buttons.
They're buttons.
They're buttons. I enjoy the buttons. There's a lot of buttons. The yarn shows them off, or the buttons show off the yarn so nicely. So like, I don't really mind. I really like the finished product, but my gosh, the button rows are slow. So slow. They take like 4 times longer than a regular row.
It does get that way, and then when you move into the lace, it just flies. But it looks so good to have all those buttons at the top and then fade into that lace. Like it looks exactly how I pictured it in my head. But even when I pictured it in my head, my brain went, "Dude, the button rows," and I went, "Yep," and I like them. Oh boy.
Oh yeah. So that's gonna be Slow going until that knot section happens. Button
That's
section.
that's fair. That's fair. You remember when I was designing it, even I slowed down at the
Uh-huh.
larger sections of buttons, and I really still like buttons. Like we'll be putting them in other things. I knew that was gonna happen because it always happens, especially in a crescent shaped shawl, especially when you're only doing like two pattern pieces to it. It just that middle section kinda that transition slogs a little. There's no way around it. It's just how it flows. Just totally fine. It won't kill anybody, it just drags a bit. I'm glad. I love how it's turning out.
Yeah, so that's everything that I'm working on.
Cool. I've
Working
done
on that while we record.
a little bit more progress on my 8-bit sweater. Diana.
It's in timeout still
Diana.
back there. You
Diana.
can see it. It's in timeout. It's
It's
still in
been
timeout.
3 weeks now.
It's in timeout.
It's been 3 weeks now.
It's a very long timeout.
That's not a timeout. You've moved it out of the house. It's
No,
gone
it's
off
right
to
there. You can see it
it's
in the background. It's right there.
gone off to college.
I haven't disowned it entirely yet.
You've written it out of the will. You just haven't told it yet.
Yeah, okay. Can't argue that point.
I am slowly making progress on my section before yoke decreases. So this is again a lot of stitches on the needles, guys. That's how it works. I'm actually keeping track of my repeats by adding a clover stitch marker to my start of round each time I complete a chart B, because I have to complete 4 chart Bs. I've completed 2. So that's 1 little square, black square, 2 little black squares. 6 rows of full-on color work. To tell you how much this pattern is ingrained in my head, this little chart B pattern, I do it at night in bed while listening to the news. My eyes are so tired, I can't focus on a darn thing. Like, it's hard for me to find my cat. I it is strictly counting to 3 in my brain color work. Apparently, I do just fine. I don't need to be conscious to do chart B.
Good to know.
So we're creeping closer and closer to the ever dreaded center double decrease, which is the decreases on the yoke. Get it done. You are so yank
know.
it back, get it done.
I know.
Get it back, yank it done. You don't have to steek yours. There's no sewing or extra band pickups for
I
you.
know.
You are so close, it hurts, lady.
I know.
So I continue to make slow and endeavoring progress to, at the very least, get it to the point where I can wash and block this thing, because I want to wash and block it before I steek it. So I need to finish off the body, graft my underarms, because I didn't mysteriously misplace 9 stitches, and then I can prep it for steeking. I'm going to continue making slow plotting progress at this, mostly to bug Diana about getting hers done, because she's the one who challenged me, so this is entirely her fault.
Uh-huh.
And I also would like to have it off my needles. I'd like to reclaim back the 2 needles I have in my arms, holding the life stitches I need to craft to close. There's some things that I'd like to claim back the stitch markers. I'd like to not have 20 some odd inches of body just sitting in my lap.
Yeah, it's gonna rapidly get a bit warm for that.
Yep. So I'm going to continue working on this in the evenings. This is my second last set of more Briggs and Little guys. Like I really do like their yarn, and a gray, charcoal gray, I think, and a white. So that is my 8-bit sweater. It's slow and continual progress. It doesn't look like much because it's literally that chart B repetitively, but this is that last section. So I'm working in this space between your collarbones and your shoulders. So I'm working in this space in here in the body, collarbones to the girls working in this space here. So that is going on. But again, it's a lot of stitches on the round, and a full repeat is 3 rows. So if I can get another 2 repeats done by the end of this week, that's another 6 rows of full color work charting. That's good progress. I'm slow and steady wins the race, because I do like working on other things. So I also know sometimes it's kind of cool in the mornings or in the evenings when I sit down in my new rocking chair, and it's great for that. I sit in the rocking chair, I put my feet up on my camping chair, my cat's on the camping chair, otherwise she's in my lap. And she stares at me. Don't know why, but she does. And I've been knitting on it at night, listening to the news on my phone before bed. Like the old grandma I am. All right, that's it for me for knitting projects.
Same. So I believe we are on to wool gathering.
Where we gather all the unnecessary extra information.
Yep. I guess we'll start with the as yet unscripted Patreon blurb.
Sure.
It's still on my to-do list to do. Still haven't done it.
Hey, I'm not in charge of your to-do list. That's your problem.
It is. Still haven't done it.
Do your sales pitch.
Patreon is a way for you to financially support pretty things. Is a way for you to financially support the pretty things that you see before you. Well, it's a way to support your seeing of the pretty things because it supports the hosting fees and eventual equipment upgrades and prizing for cows. And
Anyway, we were talking about Patreon.
yeah, I was talking about Patreon.
And
So
I
that's what your money
distracted us.
goes to support. There are, I believe, 3 different tiers of support. We deeply appreciate any level that you want to give us. And all of those levels will get you access to our patron-only Discord, early access to bonus content as we post it, the weekly Experimental Tuesday cooking blog posts.
These are all
Am I missing
accurate
anything?
statements. No, right now that's what we do. We're most active in the Discord chat. We're there a lot.
I found the little toggle that was preventing me from getting Discord notifications on my phone. So suddenly I'm like, oh, hey, there's conversation I could go participate in because I remember that it's there.
Now, to be fair, if any of them tagged her, I immediately got on to on to text, went, hey, go check Discord.
Because I wasn't even getting those, like literally nothing.
Nothing. I couldn't help with any of the other Discord threads, but I could help with that one. But I do the same thing on Instagram posts and YouTube comments and stuff. Like if it's specifically paired toward Diana and she hasn't replied after a day, I poke her. Go, hey,
It's appreciated.
there's a comment you gotta go read. Someone asked you a question. That's what I
Oh,
do.
the other Patreon thing, at the higher levels,
Hmm,
we do the monthly e-knitting, the
we
next one
do.
of which is on April the 17th at noon Manitoba time,
It
Central
is.
Daylight Time now.
Yeah, because we did that timey-wimey thingy.
Wibbly wobbly, timey wimey, shifty with the.
Daylight savings time or something, whatever.
Eh, I don't know what we're saving exactly, but sure.
I'm gonna hold the shawl in front of me so you don't have to see my look of sweet Jesus, not this argument again.
It's an archaic thing, and I don't know why we still do it, but whatever.
Okay. Do you feel better now that you've ranted?
Yep.
All right. In big news, this is the King's Flame shawl. It doesn't fit on the screen because it's a crescent-shaped shawl, so it just keeps going and going and going and going and going and going and going. And guess what? You can buy it on Ravelry now.
Woo!
I'll do you one even better. You can't use Ravelry? Ah, Jocelyn made an Etsy shop, so you can go to Etsy and you don't have to go to Ravelry if you don't want to.
Excellent. You need to get me the link for the Etsy shop because Etsy has
Edit,
terrible search.
editing Jocelyn looks forward to panicking when she remembers she didn't do that for you today, tomorrow. How does that sound?
Sounds great.
Excellent. It's a Ravelry still has like a lot of issues. I know some people can use it and some people can't, so I knew I had to make a secondary location. So that is up, that is going. As always, there's always stuff in the works because there's always stuff in the works. What else do we have? Our podcast anniversary is over. By the time you guys see this, we'll have closed everything up. Asa has informed me there was 11 finished projects as of the start of the weekend. So we'll have to go in and ogle the finished
Yes,
objects
obviously.
and pull some prizes and stuff this week. So I will put that on my plate for this week to do. Since that is finished, it is wrapped up. We've officially been at this for over 4 years. I have to think of something fancy for next year because it's the big 5.
Oh wow, yeah.
And it's going to get here a lot faster than we think it's going to.
Oh yeah.
Oh, yeah, that's how that works. Oh, boy. So that's all set up and done. So my spot's finished for a bit. Bonus. Hey, it is what it is, and we do what we can. I have some acquisitions, so I got some new goodies.
Let's have some acquisitions.
Acquisitions. I bought some yarn. Guys, I effectively shopped from a whole other province.
It's new delivery service. It's called Dad.
It's called Dad. And I'm not gonna hold that at all. Okay, so we'll talk about I suppose boring, not boring. I love crochet blankets. This should come as a shock to nobody. So there is a blanket pattern. It's called the Battenberg blanket. It's a crochet pattern. I'm going to blame the Stranded Dyeworks podcast for this because she's doing one and it's really pretty, and that's why I have to make one. This is how we got here. So Dinah's going to include the link, but essentially what it is it's a lot of a neutral, and I got me some wool like there's no actual wool. It's a light fingering, almost lace weight. Like we're definitely light. We're not quite lace. We're definitely not fingering. We're definitely not like that light fingering range, right? So it'll work just fine. And I bought a lot of yardage in this ball. $4.50 a ball is what I paid, and I bought 8, and I hope it's enough.
Seems like it. I mean, you should get a reasonably sizable blanket out of that.
The yardage says yes. We'll see how the yardage does in the end, because sometimes my crochet yardage is always off a little. So what you do is you make some more small granny squares. So of course it is.
Oh boy.
On a smaller hook even.
Oh no.
Oh joy. They're crocheted together as you go, but you alternate one of your neutrals with a colorful, you can either buy other colors if you want. I'm going to be using my scrap sock yarn. So what it is done, it'll be alternating white with colorful little scrap sock yarn crochet squares. And they all get crocheted together to make a blanket. It's called the Battenberg blanket. It is wonderfully simple. It's a beautiful pattern. I'm super excited to do it. It's another long-term big blanket pad project because that's what blanket projects are. I don't mind in the slightest because when it's done, it's going to be a beautiful spring drape over the bed kind of blanket pattern. So this will be so light to sleep under.
It's going to be so cheerfully colored too.
So good. I'm so excited. All right. The other thing that was bought by Dad. No, what happened is I'm going to blame Prairie Lily Knitting. She does very good marketing. I love her very much. I love her store. If you guys don't know, it is one of the local stores in Saskatoon in Saskatchewan. And she posted that she was getting rid of some of her, well, like discounting it to make room for new stuff. And I obviously did not look at this in advance. Anyway, it is a linen cotton blend yarn. I will make sure Diana has the information so she can link it down below, because that's always helpful for you guys. And my mommy needs things like this because she can't wear wool, right? Like superwash merino wool makes her bust out in hives. So she cannot have wool.
Mm.
So I bought 4, and by me, I mean I called and I had her put four skeins aside, and Daddy stopped by and picked it up for me and then made sure I got it, because that's what dads do. So at least that's what my dad does. So I have 2 skeins of each of this green and this blue. Beautiful, beautiful.
Those are
Rich,
really
like
pretty.
they're not. It's that summer range of color that you get with like a linen, so it's not spring pastel. It's not fall dark or winter muted. It's just this nice sort of cool summer color, which is exactly my mom's colors. So I have got 4, and she put in requests for a very specific shawl dimension shape, which required a lot of what coming out of my mouth.
Okay.
What do you want the shawl to do? So yes, I have an idea. So there'll be a new design on the needle shortly because my mom has specific size dimensions she would like to have her shawl. She likes the half circle shawls, but she hates in the shawl where you have that open gap on the side
Mm,
because she doesn't
okay.
wear wool. So she doesn't get that all over heating effect you get from wool. So she
Right.
needs to have more coverage. So essentially she wants like an extra large Stephen West half circle shawl.
Okay. Okay. A schlanket.
A schlanket. And I went, okay. I didn't order enough linen uh cotton blend. So I think I'm going to go back and find some more wool like because this is all nylon and fake stuff. So this also won't set her off because there's no wool in it. And I'm going to have to find a third color. It won't be white because my mom doesn't wear white. So that I can make a really, really big shawl for her. But that's okay. It's not like I don't have half a dozen sketches of really big shawls in my design book anyway. So it's not like oh no, it's not going to cause me any trouble to have to put something else on the needles I've wanted to put on the needles anyway. So,
Oh, hardship. Have to cast on something new.
oh
Oh.
no.
Oh, it's terrible. Ah.
The
Ah.
torture. You
Oh.
guys probably won't see anything about it for a month or so because that's how long it takes me to get through that first chunk of designing on my own before I'm ready to start showing it off to people. And you just got a king's flame out of me. So, oh, whole life, just because my mother asked me, it might be what I call the next one.
My mother asked for this shawl.
Because my mother asked me. I feel like that's a good pattern name, isn't it?
I think so.
It's because mom asked.
I like it.
So I'm gonna start on that shortly, but I've got to step 1 is fine tune which of the shawl patterns I want to use that use like 2 or more colors. Order some more like the wool likes from Michael's, hey? So order some more wool like, and had I been thinking about it, and I certainly wasn't thinking about it when I did this, I would have absolutely ordered enough in 2 colors so I could make that for gel cardigan
Mm.
because it's crocheted, so it also requires like a
That's
lot of fingering.
yeah.
And I could absolutely do it out of one of these, and then I could have a really nice fitted cardigan that I could wash and dry,
Ooh.
and that lightweight sort of layering layer. So it's like it would sometimes I'd wear it over a tank top, so it'd be next to my skin. Sometimes I'd be wearing it over like a short sleeve shirt or something. So had I been thinking, I would have done that. I was not thinking, so I did not do that. But if I order enough for a cardigan plus a shawl and get a bit of other stuff, it's worth the $17 delivery fee in the city. I can't drive. Pickup's not an option.
Yeah. Sounds like a good plan.
Nor do I necessarily want to walk an hour one way to my local Michael's to get yarn. One way.
I mean, it's a worthy quest, but yeah, that's a long walk.
To turn around and walk back for an hour with like no break in between.
Yeah.
That's a 2-hour stroll for no reason. Like if I had an eye doctor appointment because it's right close to my eye doctor, then yeah, absolutely, I would totally do that. Because then I'd go to the eye doctor, sit down, do my eye doctor appointment, leave, and then pick up yarn on the way home. You just have books left, right?
We're talking about bat and bird blanket, prairie lily knitting. Oh, you didn't mention your wildflower and wool thing yet.
Oh, I didn't. That's right. Okay, so I didn't pull down the yarn. It's fine, whatever. It's okay. I have so much going on this desk. It's nuts, guys. Like if you can see, this is a hot garbage mess going on here. Stuff stacked everywhere.
Imagining little
I
cartoon fires stuck on top of the balls of yarn now. But this is
okay.
my visual
See,
now.
now I want to cut out little cartoon fires and stick them on top of all of my piles of stuff and send the photo to you. Thank you for wasting at least 2 hours of my week this week. The next time this occurs, and I need little cartoon fires for it.
You're welcome.
Killing my productivity levels, ma'am. Killing them. uh, I posted in the Fiber Friends Friday night chat group on Facebook, because that was where the sock challenge photos and some of that stuff was going. If you weren't going to join the Ravelry group and officially participate, I generally never officially participate in anything. That's just, I forget to, so that's how that happens. I posted that I wasn't sure if I wanted to crochet my socks or knit a sock. And I had a couple of questions about crocheting socks versus knitting socks. So Louise was talking to me, and I said that because you and I generally don't do technical discussions that way, like we don't get into the nitty gritty of the differences between one craft or the other. We just sort of enjoy crafting, and we talk about our enjoyment of said crafting together.
Hmm.
So on the 15th, I'm going to hop on Louise's channel, and we're going to do a little live, and I'm going to discuss the differences between knitted socks and crochet socks because I make both. So I'm going to do that. And you know that part where your ear gets itchy on the inside
Hmm.
and you don't scratch it fast enough, you get the heebie-jeebies? Totally just happened. That was necessary information, people. You're glad you
Yes,
have it. So
absolutely.
whatever.
Totally necessary.
Totally necessary information. So I'm going to be doing that with Louise on the 15th, and I'm gonna put a sock on my hook because I don't have one right now, and talk about the differences between like crocheted items versus knit items because they're both equally relevant. But if you don't do one but you do the other, it's always weird to try to wrap your brain around something you don't do. If that makes sense.
Hmm.
Or if you've only ever seen crochet blankets, like a crocheted sweater might not make sense. So I crochet
I'm
more than Louise does. So
I'm intrigued about the what differences there might be.
well,
Figured
I
like
mean,
fabric stiffness and anything else.
not there's not as many differences as people think there are because you get a. I mean, you use more yarn when you crochet than you knit.
Yeah,
This
when
is
you make
this is a
thicker
true statement.
fabric.
You're making a thicker fabric, but you don't have like it's when you're walking on crocheted socks, you can't tell the difference between that and a knit sock. Just one slightly thicker than the other. I have a present. All right, totally derailed me. What was I talking about? I was talking about crochet versus knit socks.
Crochet socks. Crochet makes a thicker fabric.
But it's not like you could when you're wearing a knit sock, it's not like you can feel the individual stitches.
No.
Well, it's the same with a crochet. You don't feel the individual stitches. It's just a slightly thicker sock. And then when you're working at something as fine as a fingering weight, even saying it's a thicker fabric is debatable. If you're working on a 2.75 millimeter hook or a 2.5 millimeter hook, oh, I mean, think about your lighthouse shawl.
Yeah. Okay. Okay.
If you're working at a bulky, there's a huge difference between knitting and crochet. If you're working on like a fingering, eh.
It's fair because crochet basically makes like a 3-layer fabric where knitting is 1 or 2.
Yeah, yeah, it's not that big of a difference. But I mean, if you've never dealt with it before, it's hard to sort of wrap your brain around it. Or if you've only ever seen granny square blankets, then your brain kind of goes, "What?
How do you make that a sock?
How is that a thing?" Which I totally get. So I'm gonna do that and end up chatting with Louise just because it's Louise and I enjoy chatting with her a bunch. So that's gonna happen. So I gotta put another sock on my to-do list this week. So I've got some progress on that, but it'll be a crochet sock. And since my current passion project for crochet sock is the knee-high pattern I've seen, it's probably going to be a knee-high crochet sock. It looks so pretty. I want it.
Well, then makes it. You have the power.
I do. It's, the fact that it's knee-high is the only reason I didn't put it as my sock pattern for the weekend. Because I knew even if I'm faster at crochet, and I am faster at crochet, there was no way I was making a knee-high sock in 3 days.
Oh
I
gosh,
don't
no.
care how fast I am. That was not happening.
Ooh.
No. So it's like, I'll just do a regular person sock and knitting. That's far more achievable.
Yeah, yeah.
But yeah, I'll be doing that on the 15th. Okay, now we can talk books.
Okay.
Oh my gosh. I only have 2 books, and they're both finishes.
I don't think I read anything this week. I just watched like 6 episodes of Critical Role.
That's like 2.5, 4 more hours a piece.
Yeah, that's like even at like 1.5 times speed, that's minimum 3 hours a piece. So like that's I consumed a lot of Critical Role.
A lot of critical. I love it. I think it's good. I'm super glad you made your way through more because it's important. You're catching up.
Yep. I am at March 2020 now, and
There's a
things have been revealed and things have been resolved, and then a
there's a
big thing is maybe going to be resolved soon.
there's a Discord thread you could jump in on at some point in the next year.
I'm very wary of that thread because
Right now,
spoilers.
stay away from it.
Okay,
Once you're caught up to us, I'd say just stay away from it from like Thursday evening until you get a chance to watch the newest episode, which will
on
just be
Saturday
like,
morning.
yeah, which is just a day or two, which is nothing, right?
Yeah.
Yeah. So right now, don't do it. Cause boy, me and Sherry, we go and we're it makes no sense unless you're watching. So when you're watching Saturday, start at the top of that day and go down because it'll make total sense.
Okay. Okay.
But before then, A, it makes no sense. B, it might spoil something, it might not, because I'm not paying attention because I'm chatting with somebody who's also watching live.
Okay.
Yeah, which is exciting. All right.
So that's
Things
the
I
media I've
did.
been consuming. Yes. What books did you actually read?
I read 2 books by Jacqueline Carey this week. I read the second in the Crochet trilogy, the first trilogy set, so Crochet's Chosen. Finished that this week, which was great for me. They're old companions. I've read the books several times, so I'm always happy to go back and visit, and I enjoy the story a lot. So I don't get quite as dramatic about it now because it's like my 4th or 5th reread. Like I'm so comfortable. I know what's happening. I yell at the book. I know it's not going to change anything, but I yell at the book, ah, that guy's there. Like, God, but that's that. Because I know I've already read the book. Characters have no idea what's going on. They're only living the experience for the first time. I also read Jacqueline Carey's Standalone, which is Starless, which, yes. I believe my Goodreads review was buckets of yes.
Buckets of you. Okay, that's a lot of yes.
Buckets of yes. And then I went, and if I write any more about it than what I've already written, I'll spoil things for you. Just it's a very cute adventuring party story. It's got an interesting world. It's that sort of it's the adventuring party. It's the D&D of fantasy. It's what an epic fantasy is. It's a D&D adventuring party. Everything relates to D&D some days. It's just like everything relates to Halloween for me. So you get this wonderful telling and lore set up in an epic fantasy, and then you get the gathering of the party, and then the party goes to go fight the bad guys, right? Like, duh, that's what you signed on for when you opened up the book. But I like how Jacqueline Carey handles her character development. I like how she handles interpersonal relationships. I like how she handles balancing worlds where gods are still walking us, which I'm always a fan of. Does Mr. Diana require your assistance?
I don't know. I hear sounds, but I don't know what the sounds are. They're
Well,
like
we're done.
shuffling and banging, and I don't. I'm concerned.
So I'm done babbling. If you let me babble about books, we'll be here for another 45 minutes. So we
Okay.
can close this and call it an episode. And I can say until next week, I'm Jocelyn.
And I'm Diana.
And no matter where your week takes you,
Don't
don't
forget to
forget to
knit.
knit.